Good evening once again, and welcome to the Ref's Opinion. This is where we discuss all things referees and refereeing. Some instances that referees did get right, some that they maybe didn't get right, and some people's opinion. But we discuss them all here. And if you'd like to make a comment on any of the things we're going to talk about tonight, or you'd like to ask a question on something that you need clarification on, by all means, send in your comment. Right at the bottom right-hand side of your screen, you'll find a little place there where you can put in your message, ask your question, or comment on something that is being talked about on the show. So delighted to be joined once again by former Premier League referee, former FIFA referee, former World Cup referee, in fact, and former head of the PGMOL. Those are the guys who look after the referees or match officials in the Premier League and in the Championship, which is the second tier. And the man also responsible for introducing goal line technology, which has been an enormous success now with absolutely no query or question about it. The referee has this little, looks like a watch on his arm, and that tells him whether the ball has crossed the line. So my guest tonight and every night is responsible for that, Keith Hackett. Thanks again, Keith, for joining me.
Pleasure.
Now, the World Cup is in full swing. We've had lots of things happening. We had 3 red cards in the first game. And many people, well, the opinion always was that whatever the referee did in the first game, he set the standard for the rest of the tournament. Now, there have been a couple of red cards, but not as many as 3. I don't think I've ever seen 3 red cards in the first game. But that's now in the past, and that's history. But a few things here we want to discuss. The Scotland game. You felt that Scotland should or could have had a penalty?
Well, no, I certainly believe that when there was two similar situations, but for me, McTominay was going into the box, and the defender facing his own goal stepped across him and gave him a nudge sufficient for McTominay to go to the ground. And I think one of the difficulties that referees are having in this tournament is they're not penalising effectively careless challenges. You know, I think they're picking the ones where they think that's a challenge, that's a yellow card. Well, those do stand out a bit, but someone who makes a careless challenge has also broken the law. And I think they're very unfortunate. There was another incident in that same game, and that was a Scotland player running through on goal. The defender put in a foul challenge. The referee instantly blew and pulled out a yellow card. And I waited because I looked at the position of the defender and they had no chance of coming in and making a challenge for the ball. The probability of the forward gaining possession, had he not been fouled, I think was pretty good. It was far enough away from the penalty area to make certain, sometimes the ball runs forward fairly quickly and the goalkeeper's got a better chance of getting it. Absolutely not in this case. And I waited for VAR to come in because for me, VAR had certainly been fulfilled. Distance from goal, direction of play, foul, covering defenders, not going to interfere. So the referee has to make that instant judgment. But one of the great things about VAR is they can have several looks and then come in and assist the referee and say, let's go to the monitor. Didn't do, and I was very surprised that he got away with a yellow card when it should be red. I know these things are difficult, but for me, I think this was a relatively easy call for the referee.
When you say should have been red, you mean for a dog soul?
Absolutely. The denial of an obvious goal scoring opportunity, probability to gain control, the direction of play, straight down the middle, covering defenders, and a definite foul. There's no question it was a foul. And in another game with a very similar incident where the defender made a short pass back to his goalkeeper, well away. I don't think he intended. He needed more power on it, and as the forward went for it, he's brought down, and the referee, absolutely spot on, denial of an obvious goal scoring opportunity, produced the red card. So I think these are the things where we're early in the tournament, we'll get a balance. And the one thing about Collina and Busaka, they will discuss these things with the referees in detail and discuss them with the group. He'll keep them on the toes because they know that if they make too many big decisions, they're on the plane home.
Yeah. Isn't this what people complain about all the time? The consistency or the lack of it? For example, in the very opening match, the referee from South America gave 2 red cards for Dogsos. Now, people will argue, yes, no, it should have been, it could have been, it might have been, shouldn't have been, etc. But he was brave enough to do that in the opening match. And in his interpretation and in his opinion, it was a Dogso. It was a opportunity, and many people say, no, but there were other defenders there. But my interpretation of that would be, it doesn't matter if there was 3 other defenders there. Did he deny the player, the forward, an obvious goal-scoring opportunity? You know, the old thing, people saying, last man, and it was the last man means absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
It's denying the attacker a goal-scoring opportunity. And that referee, in the end, gave 3 red cards.
I supported, I think the first one was absolutely 100% nailed on. Yeah. The second Dogso, I heard the discussions, and I'm not critical of the referee. I'm satisfied that if he believes, because he's right there on the field and he's in the middle of the action and he's beginning to learn the players that he's refereeing, and I'm going, right, this is an opinion and it is subjective, and he's gone with it. Fine. The one I did disagree with, and that was the illegal use of the hand by a defender, and I generally believe that was a reckless challenge. The FIFA explained afterwards that it was serious foul play, and I don't think there was malice in it. We know that players use their hands illegally, and I think he used the hand in a reckless manner, and therefore I think he was a bit harsh on the second one. But again, it's about opinion and it's about subjectivity in that challenge. He's there, he's got to make that call. I can look at it as many times as I want. And of course, the VAR didn't come in because he supported the referee. And it was, that borderline of understanding what is a clear and obvious error is not easy. So,
just while we're on the referees, Keith, what do you think of the cameras on their head?
I look, the media think they're wonderful. I believe, the position of the head, the requirement of 100% concentration when you're refereeing, comfort is all part of the process. So for me, it's a step too far. Who's benefiting from it? It's not the referee in the decision-making process at all. It's showmanship, it's entertainment. And I think, look, technology is available now. You've got a camera overhead, you've got cameras all over the place. I don't like them.
Oh my goodness. Look what the referees have to do nowadays. Now they've got a camera on their head, but they also have the earpiece. They also have other things on them, measuring their own performance. And then now they have the spray. They've been weighed down with so much equipment. How in heaven's name can they keep up with play with all of that stuff on them?
I mean, I have to say, there was a shot of I think a penalty kick award by De Bleeker, the Dutch referee. And what it did highlight in terms of training young referees, I thought I've saved a clip somewhere because it shows how he moved a couple of feet to his right and he got the best viewing angle ever. And you're right. I think a lot of these referees are demonstrating in temperatures that are high or altitude, good levels of fitness, you know. And I was particularly pleased for Michael Oliver because he'd obviously been taken off his first appointment, injured, and you suddenly think, what is that injury? And he was then given Holland and the Holland game. And I thought he refereed really well. He's a very mature, calm guy. And I say to lots of people, because people criticize him on the Premier League, and my answer is he's a big time referee. And they go, oh, so I go, no, what I'm implying is this. He raises his game substantially when he's got a really big game. You know, if the game's like mid-table, he'll referee it and get through it and referee well, but not to the level that he's capable of doing. And sometimes I'm critical and try to give him a verbal kick up the rear, because I once had somebody in the local park here in Sheffield, 26 pitches Sunday morning, refereeing, and this guy shouted across the pitch, "It's not the cup final, ref." And I just stopped the game and went across and said, every game's a cup final to me, mate.
Absolutely.
You know, I've got standards and I'm going to keep them. And you know, great credit, although at times I've been critical of Howard Webb and his management skills in the PGMOL, some of which I disagree with. That's one of the things that he was good at also. You know, he'd have a big game, an international or a local game, a Premier League game, and then on a Sunday morning or even midweek, he'd be refereeing a couple of kids' teams. And that's, I think, a sign of the love of the game that we referees have.
What I really enjoyed, can't remember which game it was now, but this new system or this new change to the law that if you take too long taking a throw in, it goes to the opposition. And I saw it the other night for the first time. Fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, they've always had this option in the law. They've had this option in the law for some time. But what they've done is they've, if you like, brought it to another level by actually giving the guidance in law to say 5 seconds is our expectation. That then puts the onus on the referee. I just hope that the referees that are officiating in the World Cup are setting an example to grassroots referees, everybody around the world, to say, right, grip it and apply it. And if they apply it, so be it. And I also like how they're taking a proactive approach on injuries and saying, right, off you go, mate. And you can have your minute plus, because that's what you're getting. Yeah. And I think these small adjustments by the IFAB, I'm critical, of course, at times, but I do think these small adjustments are having a positive impact. But then it's all thrown out the window when we have a water break, and we're now got 4 quarters, not 2 hours.
Yeah.
And you know, I just think that it's from a refereeing point of view, it's a recipe for disaster. And the only reason I say that is the referee in that first quarter or during the match has made a very controversial call, and he's now going towards the drinks area, which is near the technical area, and it's inviting conflict. The other thing that I would really like FIFA to clamp down is, I think the referees are finding it difficult that when they go to the monitor, they're being chased down by players, or they're actually put under pressure saying, look at the monitor, get the monitor, and all that goes with it. And whilst the referee is waiting for an outcome from the VAR, he's getting surrounded with a few players. And I'm thinking that's an area that they just need to probably strengthen up on. Make it clear, get away. And if they don't, issue somebody with a yellow card.
And do you know something else that's now becoming all too common is when a goal is scored, the whole bench run onto the field.
Yeah. I mean, this
Why is that being allowed, though, Keith? That's got to come from the top. The referee can do nothing about it, except by the time he gets around everybody, it's up to the authorities to say if you run on the field, you're going to suffer consequences.
Yeah, and I think very clearly, you're quite right. I think that we're seeing substitutes running from the technical area, not ones that are warming up. They're coming half the length of the pitch, and we've got a celebration that's taking too long.
Yeah,
and of course, it's okay generally in seated accommodation, but the reality is, the whole aspect of that is to prevent a crowd surge and the potential risk of injury to spectators, particularly youngsters who might be at the front watching their heroes play. And then there's the potential that they get crushed. So I think players have a responsibility, and managers certainly have a responsibility to say, look, we want you to enjoy and celebrate the goal, but within the confines of the pitch. And Mr. Substitute, if you come on the field of play or coach or whatever, you're done. And they've got the evidence to prove that.
Somebody said it, or was I thinking, did I see it somewhere, or is it just in my head, about these so-called hydration breaks, the guys getting water? And I can understand if it's very hot and so on. Why can it not be that one or two of the technical staff bring water into the center circle and they can have their drinks there? Because it's now becoming a coaching lesson and an upgrade in tactics and so on. Even though it's just nonsense.
Well, all you have to do is put it on a golf cart, as they. Yeah, I can remember when Sepp Blatter years ago said players couldn't be treated on the field of play, and the substitute was on came the golf cart, and they lifted and literally threw the player onto the golf cart and drove him off the pitch. So let's have a golf cart coming on that's got plenty of various liquids, even mark the bottles for those that want special drinks with acrylites. There's a lot of sports science going into drinks now to aid speedy recovery and get sugars back into the system.
You're watching the Ref's Opinion. We go out every Monday night at this time, 8 o'clock Irish UK time. We're on the same timeline. This is where we discuss all things referees and refereeing. And if you'd like to make any comment, you're more than welcome to do so. You'd like to ask a question, you can also ask a question. So we go out every Monday night. I see a comment here now from Tommy Breen, and I'm going to put it up on the screen. So Tommy says, hello, boys, late joining you. The Scottish match. While Scotland were poor, there were two clear penalties that were overlooked, dismissed. To be honest, it's a poor World Cup to watch. Too many teams, too many breaks, too many poor refereeing decisions.
Yeah, I've already, Tommy, mentioned earlier the fact that when Diop made that foul challenge for which he got a yellow card, that was a clear dismissal. When we come to the penalty kicks, a lot of people would go for the McGinn one and say that's nailed on. I've gone slightly the other way and said McTominay one, where the player clearly fouled his opponent, should have resulted in a penalty kick. And I think if the referee's going to give that penalty kick, then he looks at the McGinn one, and they're almost identical. And therefore, I think I have to say, Tommy, that I think the standard of refereeing, maybe I disagree with you, has been generally pretty good. I thought Michael Ollie was exceptional. I think there's been some really good performances. I think this referee that officiated Scotland produced the worst performance of the tournament so far. Whether he'll get another appointment, we wait and see. I've been watching the first half of the Argentina game, and I think the Egyptian referee equally has shown authority, issued yellow cards. He's been fair and equitable in his decision making. So I think that, we're in the early stages. The referees are having to work to instructions produced by Busaka and Kalina, who are very strong on law. Kalina is very, very knowledgeable on law. He sits on the IFAB panel. So for me, I think the standard will improve. There have been one or two iffy performances, and I've already mentioned that opening game where the Brazilian referee sent 3 players off. I'd give him support on 2, the denial. I certainly wouldn't give him support on the handing off. But there's many people who read the posts that I make who totally and utterly disagree with me and support the 3 red cards. But that's football. We all have opinions.
Okay. Should Messi have been playing tonight? Should have
No.
got a red card, surely?
Absolutely. This was a challenge to fulfill the criteria of serious foul play. It had excessive force. The landing area, of course, it doesn't matter about the landing area, but the landing area was on the shin and raked down. No, sorry, was on the calf,
yeah,
and then raked down the back towards the Achilles tendon, putting that career of that particular player at risk. I have no doubts that was a red card, and I can't understand. And again, I'm not having too big a go at the referee here. He's got one view, and he may not have got the view that we saw because it was very quick. And we then see replays. When you look at the replays, you go, wow, that's a red card.
yeah.
And then you wait for VAR coming in because the referee's made a clear and obvious error in not sending the player off. And VAR should have intervened. And I think had the referee gone to the screen and seen the challenge in the way that we were seeing it, he got no other option other than to send off. So Messi's a lucky guy. But
So,
we all want to see him, don't we?
Indeed.
I
He scored again tonight.
He missed the penalty.
Yeah. What was he trying to do? Oh my word!
I looked at Harry Kane the other night, and he's gone up, and they're all trying to put a break in the run up to commit the goalkeeper, but the goalkeepers aren't going. So as a result, Kane's penalty kick was saved. Luckily for England, the referee had 2 options. Goalkeeper had moved prematurely, and there was also an attacker that also
was in the box.
Came in. And of course, in that situation, if the goal's not being scored, the penalty kick is retaken. And anybody who wants to look at the law on, because towards the end of this competition, we will probably get penalty kicks from the mark to determine the outcome of the match. So what you need to do is look at the equalisation and reread the penalty kicks. Have the notes in front of you, you referees, because it doesn't happen every week, and you can easily make a mistake in that penalty shootout that might come.
There's something that's bothered me for some time now. Okay, referees seem to have no problem giving out a yellow card, and that's okay. But giving a second one when a foul that was committed might have been worse than the first foul where the yellow card was issued. Do you think the referees are going a bit soft when it comes to the second because they know it's a red? It shouldn't be.
I think you raise a really good point. First of all, the decision-making quality on fouls, foul challenges. I think that you've got those lines that say careless, which is a free kick or a penalty kick, reckless, which is a free kick, penalty kick, or a yellow card. And then you've got the one excessive force. And I think that referees are, first of all, missing free kicks for careless challenges, giving nothing. And then, of course, we are seeing, and it will be a cancer within the game forever, and that is the referee who ducks that courage to go with a second yellow. And of course, he's now helped because VAR in this competition is allowed to come in on a second yellow card if they believe it's incorrect. And I think when we look at Danny Makelele, who I thought had a really good game, and I think he was giving a second yellow, there was intervention on mistaken identity, and the yellow card withdrawn. So I think they've got an insurance premium at the back that says, if you make that courageous error, you get it wrong, VAR will come in and rectify. So, but you're right. I think, maybe people like myself that have been coaches in the past might be guilty of saying to referees in their build-up, look, second yellows really ought to be orange. The law doesn't say that.
No.
The law doesn't say it.
No.
A yellow card is a yellow card. Therefore, I think you're right. We get those situations where the referees don't issue that second yellow.
Yeah, which is wrong, really, because
Yes.
the players will soon cop on to that, and then they'll start performing this kind of thing and that kind of way, because they know that the referee will be reluctant to issue a second yellow because they know the second yellow was red. But likewise, the referee shouldn't be going out thinking like that. They should go out and say and judge each foul on its merit. And if the first one deserves a yellow card and the second one is equal to the first offense or worse, and they're not giving anything except talking to, the players soon catch on to that. The last one, Keith, the first time, and I'm so happy that it actually happened and that a referee had the guts to do it. I'm talking about Almiron from Newcastle, covering his mouth while he's talking to an opinion. Straight red card. And he was aghast. He couldn't believe it. Surely the coaches must get a list of the things that will happen if they do A, B, or C. And yet he went ahead and did it.
Kalina is really good at this, and I have to say, when I was boss of the PGMOL, I used to have pre-season meetings. All the managers had to attend. They were in small groups, so I had to work hard going to various venues to actually give practical demonstrations on the new laws and how they were going to be applied. And then we'd have a referee and a referee coach involved in a small-sided game applying those laws. So players being able to question, and the referees telling the players about the laws of the game. I can tell you that the coaches will have been informed about the various changes. This was also very heavily publicized in the media, both the written media and the electronic media. I learned from that in the English Premier League, they're not going to adopt that.
Hand over the mouth.
Hand over the mouth.
Really?
That I'm already, somebody sent me a note and saying, look, this is not going to be adopted by the Premier League. I think that one of the things, and I'm not defending the players are creatures of habit. And sadly, we've seen this growing trend of players, managers, coaches all covering the mouth. For the last 10, 15 years, they've been doing that. So they now have got this massive change where if they do it, they get an instant red card. I think the debate that I've certainly been having on social media with lots of people making their views, is that worthy of a red card? And my answer was, yes, it is. If the comment contains racial remarks. But then back comes the coach saying, well, we're often getting through players, yes, simulating an injury in order for the player to tell a colleague a message that we sent by the physio. So there are those things. It might be tactical. FIFA have made their call. We'll wait and see for the start of the season on the English Premier League as to whether there's a change of mind and they adopt it, because it's a law that is discretionary, I think is the word that they put on it.
Yeah. We've run out of time once again, Keith. Thanks very much for joining me. And thanks, Tommy, for your comments also. We'll do it all again next week. Same time, same place, 8:30, facebook.com/Hanging Judge Ref. And this is the Ref's Opinion. Until next week, good night and God bless. Thank you.
Good night.
Thanks.